Yes. Taylor Swift using her voice to get out the vote. Yesterday, she encouraged her 275 million Instagram followers to head to the polls. That's a lot. According to vote.org, the website saw over 70,000 clicks yesterday, 2/3 of them from people under the age of 35. This comes as Swift's re-released album, 1989, is making history, garnering the largest first-week tally for any album since 2015. Joining us now, senior music writer and chief music critic at Variety, Chris Willman. It's great to have you on, Chris. I guess she did get people to get out the vote. Yeah. So it makes sense that a lot of people would buy her album.
I got to say, though, Chris, it's crazy when you have a reissue.
That's amazing.
Which she's doing to take control of her catalog. You have a reissue outselling an original, especially an original that was as wildly popular as 1989. Talk about it and the historical impact of it.
Yeah, you know, with Taylor Swift, I always think of the phrase, rules don't apply. And to even be doing a re-recording campaign of her catalog is unprecedented. And then to have the reissues, they're not reissues, re-recordings, outdo the originals is, additional unprecedented territory, of course. And, you know, she was so angry when her catalog was bought. There's two song titles that come to mind when I think of this re-recording series. One is Better Than Revenge, where a long time ago she said, there's nothing I like better than revenge. And the other, she had a song later called Mad Woman, which I think was explicitly about being angry about having her catalog bought out from under her. And and she sings the line, the more you call me crazy, the crazier I get. And so she had this crazy idea to re-record her entire catalog piece by piece. And now she's set her all-time record with 1.65 million units in a week. That's more than double any of the previous re-recording in her campaign, and it beats by 100,000 her previous high, which was Midnight's, an original album last year around this time.
As we said, almost the highest selling, in almost a decade, highest selling album of any kind. Chris, you've covered music for a long time. Can you compare what we're seeing right now with Taylor Swift to anything else? Is it Michael Jackson in 1984? Is it the Beatles? Is it Elvis? Just the pure dominance of popular culture, selling out football stadiums with over tens of thousands of fans outside listening because they couldn't get inside to get a ticket. The Travis Kelce thing, all of it put together. What are we watching exactly?
I don't think there's anything comparable, really. Like 2 years ago, people might have said she was on an equal level with Beyonce and Adele. And now I think we're past that with the stadium tour that's probably going to gross $2 billion, which is more than double any previous tour in history. You've got the movie that's at 165 million box office, multiple times what any concert movie has ever done. And so I keep going back to the Beatles. And yet, the Beatles quit touring in 1966. So there's nothing on the tour level you can compare to. All you can compare to it with the Beatles is the album run. They had this great 9 or 10 album run. She's 10 albums in. Actually, she's released 8 albums in the last 4 years, 4 original albums, 4 re-recordings. Nobody's ever seen that kind of output from a superstar, except maybe when the Beatles were just putting out albums rat-a-tat-tat quickly. And so the comparisons are hard to come by. Even Michael Jackson, I think, you hate to be hyperbolic, but I think even that doesn't compare.
Chris, what I find so fascinating is when you and John Heilman and I were growing up, you had, top 40, you had sort of album-oriented rock, you had R&B, you had country, and there wasn't all the segmentation that you've had. Spotify just sort of spread everything out. I think the most extraordinary thing about Taylor Swift is that Taylor remains dominant over all of the sort of slicing and dicing of the million different segments we've seen since Spotify. Like, how does she do that? How does she break across all boundaries?
Yeah, we think that music can't be as dominant as it was because of the lack of a monoculture. I mean, you think of a song that everybody has heard, and even Taylor Swift. I see people popping up in my feed proudly proclaiming they've never heard a Taylor Swift song, and I don't know what hole you have to dig for yourself for that to be possible. But yeah, even if you're not paying attention to the music, she's in there as part of the NFL universe now. If you ever think about movie theaters, you're aware of the movie being in theaters. And so she's spread it even beyond those 8 albums she's put out in 4 years. In some ways, that's almost like the least of the things she's done to stay relevant in pop culture. The film has just put it in another ballpark altogether with the 165 million gross and still going, and crowding out every other movie, so that if you're watching The Exorcist, you're hearing Taylor Swift bleed in from next door with 3 hours of very loud songs. So,
Senior music writer and chief music critic at Variety, Chris Willman, thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Yeah,
and I'm glad she got the vote out too.
Incredible.